Hi, I was having dinner recently with my friend Oklahoma Russ. Anyway, we were having dinner at my favorite Irish fusion restaurant in Roanoke, Texas. It's called Matt's Mexican Cantina, and the scones are out of this world. Anyway, Oklahoma Russ says to me while we're eating, "Brian, when you're out there flying, you need to make sure that you also work on your emergency procedures." I said, "Okay, Russ," which is also how I abbreviate his name. Anyway, that got me to thinking about emergencies and how we should prepare for them. And one of the emergencies that I thought I would like to talk about a little bit is instrument failure. By instrument failure, of course, I mean GPS failure. I don't know what the rest of them do. All right, so let's say you're flying along and you do have an instrument failure. You do have a lot of options to get the flight completed safely. The first and obvious choice is to take a coffee can full of butterflies on every flight. And this is what I do. You're probably asking, why would I bring a coffee can full of butterflies? Well, what is it that butterflies do really well? That's right, they fly right side up. So what you want to do is, if you lose your instruments, you want to open the coffee can and let the... You're going to want to punch holes in the lid of the coffee container. I think this flight just took a turn for the worse. So what you want to do is let the butterflies out. The butterflies are going to fly right side up. You now just have to keep the plane oriented sort of how the butterflies are, and as long as the butterflies are right side up, you know that you're flying straightish and levelish. Now, it's important to know that it doesn't have to be butterflies. You could use any sort of flying insect. I did try it with bees once, and that was a disaster. As you can imagine, by the time I landed, the entire plane was covered in honey. I wouldn't recommend a bird. That's all. Now let's say you live somewhere where there's no birds or butterflies or bees or anything to catch. There's other things you can do. One thing you can do is you can take some paper or some newspaper and set it on fire while you're flying. Smoke rises. So as long as the smoke is filling up towards the top of the cockpit and coming down, you know you're right side up. If you look down at your feet and you see smoke, you're upside down. Smoke over here, you're banking to the right. Smoke over, it's just easy. You just keep the smoke on the ceiling. It's real simple. And your instructor should probably have told you this kind of thing. Sometimes people will do a helium balloon and put it on the ceiling and just try to keep it centered. There's some physics about whether you think it's going to go forward or backward because air's heavier, but I don't know any of that. Now, if any of those things don't seem like they're going to work for you, you don't have butterflies, you forgot to bring your lighter to set a fire inside the aircraft, really those are the best ideas, but there's one other option you have. Now, I've never done it, but a lot of instructors will tell you if your instruments fail, you can try what they call looking out the window. I've not done it. I don't know if a lot of people have. It's just not how I fly. But if I understand correctly, you can look out the window and there's references that you can use for things like orientation and navigation. My primary instructor said there's like a horizon out there that's kind of mirrors your artificial horizon. I think it's supposed to act kind of like that, and you can use that if you have to in a pinch. Personally, I don't think I would go that route just because I'm afraid of heights and I'm just better off not knowing. I do want to stick with the emergency situations that can come up when you're flying, and so the next video I'm going to do is about something that most people don't like to talk about. Everyone always talks about inadvertent VFR into IMC, but no one ever talks about what you do when you're flying IFR and you accidentally cross over into VFR. So the next video we'll talk about that and what you should do inadvertent IMC into VFR. Another option you have if you lost your instruments is just put the plane into a spin. And I know what you're thinking, why would I want to put the plane in the spin? The answer's simple. When planes spin, where are they going? That's right, down. So now you're spinning, you know you're headed down. So what do? You do the standard maneuver to get out of a spin. You push the stick forward, aileron's neutral, something about a rudder. Anyway, and then so now that you're out of the spin, you know you're straight and level. If you get confused again, spin it again. It's a pretty good idea. It's really not a good idea at all. This is a satire. Don't do any of this. I don't have living butterflies in my jar today. It's just a simulation. But so what you would do is you would take the lid off and the butterflies would come out. And as long as you keep the butterflies flying straight and level and set it on fire while you're flying, what happens to smoke when it's smoke? What happens to smoke when it's smoke?